Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today in this vlog, I want to talk about the purpose of life. What is your purpose in life? What is my purpose in life? Why are we created? Now, as Muslims, we believe that Allah created us for a specific purpose. Now, we have to discover that purpose. So you need to ask that question. And as you reach mature age, you need to ask the question, where did I come from? What is my purpose of the creation? Why are we here and where are we going? So you need to ask these questions as a mature adult once you reach that maturity. Unfortunately, some people decide not to ask that question and they just carry on with their life, allowing others to lead them into their life. They just follow others into a path, or they just, they get the misunderstanding of their purpose and they decide to waste it, enjoy life, thinking that maybe their purpose is to just accumulate wealth and just enjoy life because you only live once and that kind of stuff. Okay, so you have different types of personalities. There is a personality that will question things, will seek the truth, seek their purpose in life, maybe have a bigger goal in life. Maybe they want to set up a business or they want to achieve something and they want to really discover what is their passion and why they're here and what they want to achieve by the end of their life, okay, in this world. Now, as Muslims, it tells us very clearly in the Quran that Allah created the jinn kind and mankind for only one purpose, and that is to worship the Creator, okay, to worship Allah. So from the very beginning of creation, from the beginning of the creation of Adam, mankind, Allah has given us a prescription to life, how we can have a happy, successful, peaceful life, and also succeed in this world, and ultimately for the hereafter, which is the ultimate, the eternal life in paradise, how we can achieve that as well. So it's very clearly outlined, and He's given us Islam as a complete way of life. Now, Islam is not just a religion. I don't like to use the word religion because that gets confused with other other belief systems, other things like spirituality or Christianity and so on, or any other man-made religions. But Islam is completely different. Islam is a complete way of life. So it gives us a solution to every single problem that we might encounter and how to solve that problem. It makes our life easy because we don't have to try to reinvent the wheel or try to figure things out. We just have to go to the Quran and look at the sayings of the Prophet and his example and learn from that and apply it in our life for any problem that we might face. So if it's an economic problem like inflation or poverty, and how do we eradicate poverty, how do we eradicate inflation, how do we create a more equal society, a just society, a correct financial system, how to do business, and also benefit others. What is that purpose? A political system that's the best political system that is far exceeding whatever's out there currently adopted, like democracy, communism and socialism. So Islam has the most perfect solution for an economic system, how to elect leaders, and so on. Okay, so it gives us a solution to every single aspect of our life, how to lead a very successful, happy life here, and it makes our life easy. So we should be happy when we adopt Islam. We should be happy. Otherwise, you should question your understanding of Islam, because if you're someone that's miserable or you don't feel happy and you're struggling, then you should really question your belief, because if you are following the Quran and the example of the Prophet, the Hadith, and obviously seeking guidance as well from people that have learned, people that have actually studied Islam academically. Maybe they've spent 5-10 years of their life dedicating to really understanding the seerah of the Prophet, the example of the Prophet and his life, and the companions and righteously guided companions of the Prophet, then you shouldn't go astray. You shouldn't face any difficulty, even when you are being tested in life. You should accept it as a trial and a test, and you should ultimately, with every struggle there is ease. So you should see that ease in your life coming in, and ultimately you will be happy in life, and you will actually understand the reasoning behind that particular trial or test that you've gone through. It will bring you out much stronger, more. It will actually create you. It will basically refine you and create you a better person. And that's exactly what happened to me in my life. I mean, I'm not perfect yet. I'm not. There's a lot of things I need to improve in my life, including my health as well. I've just upped and down in my health, and my weight has gone up dramatically in the past 12 months. I need to obviously tackle that as well, and start to put a plan together to get back into a more healthier lifestyle. So that's something I need to be personally working on. So it might be the same thing as well. You might have let yourself go a bit, or you might have gone a little bit astray, or taken the wrong road in life and ended up not where you want to be. And so you just have to recalculate and recalibrate your life, and ultimately, inshallah, you will reach your destination, and you will be happy with it as well. So now coming to the purpose, obviously a lot of people, if you're being honest, some people, they might say, oh, my purpose in life is to have a successful business, my purpose in life is to be rich, and all that stuff, my purpose in life is to get married and have children, things like that. But truly, if you really question deep down, what do you want to be, what do you want to achieve in life, what is really your purpose, and if you align it with anything other than the Creator, your purpose is to serve the Creator. And I will go into how do you serve the Creator, how do you fulfill your obligations while you're here, and why you're created by by Allah. If you have anything, you will have actually a very miserable life. You will not be happy, because it's like a black hole. You can never have enough money to be satisfied. You can never have enough enjoyment in life to be happy. And unfortunately, I see a lot of people just spending their life chasing materialistic things, like getting the latest iPhone and watching the latest episodes and the latest movies, and they're just constantly in this vicious cycle, and they're constantly in this rat race chasing the next big thing, and they're not really happy in their life. They have a very miserable life. Although in their moments when they're enjoying a movie, or they're buying the latest gadget and wasting their money, or borrowing money from the bank to buy a house and all that stuff, they are actually not satisfied. They're always constantly struggling. From the outside, people might see them as successful. They have a brand new car, which they borrowed money to buy that car. They've got an expensive watch, and they borrowed money from the bank, but they are struggling to service those debts. So they're not really happy, and they can't even enjoy the luxuries that they're buying, because obviously other people will envy them. They'll be a victim of crimes. There's a lot of stuff. So, but unfortunately, people that chase this materialistic lifestyle, they will never be happy. And you can speak to so many people that are doing that, and if you really ask them and you really get to know them, you will see that they're actually miserable, and they're always complaining about life. They're not earning enough money. They're not, they've got all these mountains of debts. Now they're struggling in life. They can't get the bare essentials, yet they've borrowed money from the bank to buy a house, car, watch, all that stuff. They bought expensive clothes on credit cards, and they're just piling up the debt, and eventually it will just catch up to them. Same way countries as well. Countries end up borrowing money, trying to finance these things that they do have, infrastructure projects, all that stuff, but ultimately the debt catches up to them, and they have to tax the populace, or end up doing certain things that eventually ruins life for vast amounts of people living in any country. So yeah, unfortunately, it's not just on an individual basis. On a country level, if you've got a bad government, and unfortunately, almost I can't even think of any government that's really caring about their population or really caring. I mean, most people in the government, all they care about is benefiting from their position, exploiting their situation in authority to enrich themselves with other people's wealth. Unfortunately, that's the reality of the situation of this world right now. But you as an individual, you need to obviously look at yourself and see, okay, yeah, I know there's a lot of facade, there's a lot of corruption out there and all that stuff, but how can I become a better person? Instead of asking questions like, okay, there's a bad government or bad leadership and all that stuff, and they're not really working for the benefit of their country, and they're not serving the country, they're not serving the population that put them in that position of authority. You should ask yourself really, what can you do for your country? What can you do for others? How can you service? How can you serve mankind? How can you serve others? And that should be the questions in your mind. What can I contribute? Not what the government can do, because the government's not going to do anything. Government is run by corrupt individuals, and they're not working for the interest of the country or anyone else apart from themselves. Unfortunately, that's the reality. You just have to accept it. You just have to be patient. But you need to ask yourself, what can you do as an individual? How can you work? Maybe if you have a family, you are the leader of the family as the man, and you should always, so you can think of yourself as if you are the president of your own country. Yeah. So in your own home, you are now the president of your own house. And how would you lead? How would you like your children to grow up? Would you like them to see their father, the head of the family, someone that they look up to, just constantly sitting in front of a television watching cartoons and movies and that kind of stuff, and they always see you come back from work tired and just sitting in front of a TV? Or do you want them to see you as an example, a good example to follow? You're getting educated, trying to improve your life. There's no shame in starting off at a very low level. There is no shame in even if you were homeless. And I know many people, I've been in very difficult situations myself in the past. So there's no shame in that. Everyone has to start from somewhere. But the sad reality is there are some people, they just give up on life. They just accept their fate and say, oh, this is the qadr of Allah, and they always blame Allah for this. It's not. Allah is innocent from all that. Allah only rewards those who try. So if you try and you're studying, you're working hard, Allah will reward you. And I don't mean working hard as in just not actually having a plan. You need to have yourself a plan in place. So even if you're starting off as a cleaner, and all you're doing is you're cleaning properties or whatever, or takeaway, whatever, unskilled job, you need to have a plan in place where you say, okay, my ultimate goal is I need to reach a certain level of education, reach a certain level of skill, because then ultimately what I want to do is I want to set up my own business, and then I can service others, I can serve others, I can then contribute to society, I can help charities, I can help those who are truly less privileged than us, that don't have the opportunity for education or anything else. They have no other opportunity and they're starving to death. Maybe I should do something with my life. And since I have the opportunity that I live in a country where I have the ability to set up my own business or get some education and become a professional, and then get to that position where I contribute to others and help others and serve Allah in that way, you should have a bigger plan than just yourself. And so that's my opinion, and this is my vision. Obviously I'm not perfect and I'm constantly trying to improve myself, but this is the advice if I have to give you, is your purpose in life, discover what your passion is and think of how you can serve Allah in that way. So you can say, okay, this is my purpose, this is what Allah created me in this world, so I can become a doctor and I'm going to save lives, or I'm going to become an engineer and I'm going to solve problems, or a scientist or whatever, or I'm going to find a particular cure so I can alleviate other people's suffering in some way. So you have to think of how can I service mankind, and so this is part of worship. So if you you know, you don't worship is not in Islam is mistaken to be just okay. We're praying, we're fasting, and so, this is not Islam. Islam is you know, if you look at Islam as a whole, about 3 or 4% of Islam is the worship, is the relationship between you and your Creator, you know, Allah, and then the rest of it is the dealings in life. You know, like I said before in past videos, you know, social, political, economic, how you deal with animals, how you deal with the environment, how you deal with other people around you, trade, business, so any profession. So I advise you, if you decide to, okay, if I say for example someone wants to become a doctor, you say, okay, this is my purpose in life, I want to become a doctor, or become a scientist. I highly recommend, first thing you should do, you should open up the Quran, open up the Hadith, and just try to find out, does it basically address your profession? Does it tell you anything about your profession? So like if you're a trader, for example, if you're a businessman, what does the Quran say about business? How you should deal with business? What kind of contracts should you have in place? All that stuff is in the Quran. You just need to really look for these things, all these answers. Like certain things you're not allowed to trade in. For example, haram. If you want to buy a property, how can you buy a property? According to Islam, you can't take a mortgage, you can't take out any loans. This is very clear. Riba is haram. Unfortunately, some people would make that halal. Some people would say, "Oh, this is the only way I can buy a property. I have to borrow from the bank," and that's not true. You can always rent a property. You can always rent a property and ask Allah to help you to raise the funds. If ultimately you can buy a property with cash. I've made mistakes in the past. I've taken out a mortgage in the past, sold the property. Next time around, I learned from that mistake. Alhamdulillah, Allah made me lose money so I can understand. You know, maybe I've made a mistake. Maybe I should correct my way. And then ultimately, I was able to buy a property just cash, and that's all I do right now. Is I just buy cash. I'm a cash buyer, and if I buy something, I buy it with cash. If I have the money, I buy it. If I don't, I just don't try. I don't even try to buy anything. I don't go to the bank. Even the bank can loan me a couple of million, and I can show them all my income, whatever. And it's not a problem. But I still don't take that opportunity up. And I've been offered funding from banks, and I've refused it. I've turned it down. Now, if you listen to someone who's a capitalist, someone who's an atheist, someone who's misguided, ignorant Muslim, they will always tell you, oh, you shouldn't use your own money to buy or invest. You should use other people's money. Go to the bank, but use the bank to finance your deals or finance your business, and keep your money, your own capital. But we're not working on on this world. We don't care about this world. We want to implement our life according to the framework of Islam. There's no point in you just saying, okay, which is I can make more money from using other people's money and I can be successful in life. Yes, you can make more money using other people's money. You can have a good strategy and all that stuff. You can buy a lot of properties, but at the end of the day, it's all haram income. It's all haram spending money and making money. You're not getting the blessing of Allah. You're not getting the barakah, and that's what the aim is. You have to always, tune yourself back. So what is the purpose in life? I'm here to serve Allah. Allah tells me I cannot take out a loan from the bank. I cannot pay interest. It's haram. I cannot charge interest in my business. That's haram. I can't sell alcohol. I can't consume alcohol. I can't produce alcohol. I can't invest in businesses that are involved in haram activity. So you need to fine tune your scenario or your situation to not get involved in haram activity. And I had, although there was a period in my life where I actually stopped. So I stopped borrowing money. I just sold the property that I had on a mortgage and started just buying on just cash buys. But unfortunately, I was also investing in companies, especially like commodity companies, mining companies, exploration companies, and these companies were borrowing millions from the bank, and alhamdulillah, I lost a huge fortune in that. But I've learned from the lesson that I shouldn't even be investing in companies that have debts. And since I did that, although I'm working with a lot less capital than than I was working before. When I was investing in the hundreds of thousands, but now I'm investing with a smaller amount. And what I do now, and why I am successful in my strategy, alhamdulillah, is I invest in companies that don't have any debts. So I look at their balance sheet and I say, okay, these companies are not investing in anything haram, and at the same time they don't have any debt, so they're organically growing the business. And I look at the founders of the company, and I try to vet them and try to monitor them on social networks such as LinkedIn, of course, and find out their background. And I look at their personality and how much they're actually paying themselves and so on. But unfortunately, in the past, I wasn't like that. I invested in any company I thought they had a good product, good service, and it did make me money for a while, and then I lost 99% of my capital, huge amount of money, capital that people take a lifetime to earn. Even some people won't even earn that amount of money that I've lost on the market in their whole entire lifetime. So it does hurt a bit, but alhamdulillah, I say, what can I learn from that lesson? There's always a lesson in every single failure. And say likewise, in that I start looking at myself. I say, okay, what have I done wrong in my life? I should repent for any mistakes that I've done. I should look at any mistakes I've made, and I looked at that, and I seen that basically, these companies, it was obvious from the very start, and I did know that they had like 20 million or 30 million, pounds. They had a debt with the bank, but when the market turned, and they still have to service that debt. When the project failed, they were mining or exploration project, didn't discover enough gas or oil in the field, things then did go completely wrong because they still have to pay the debt. It's always good when things are working and the market's going up. It's a bull market, and they drill a well, and it's like it's like a blowout. They get a huge amount of they discover a massive reserve, but that's all good when it's all working well, because you make all that profit, and and they're paying the bank a small percent of interest, but the whole thing is haram. So I decided to opt out of it. Too late, but I lost a fortune, like I said, 99% at some point, and learned from it, and I started again. And that's basically the game. If you think of this life, it's just like a game, but there are certain rules. If you follow these rules, you'll get the reward in this life and the next. If you don't, Allah can make you rich, even if you don't believe in Allah. You're not a Muslim. Allah doesn't discriminate. He gives the blessing for everyone on this world. Anyone that does good in this world, they'll get a reward. If you're a Muslim or not, doesn't matter. But as a Muslim, you should be working for the afterlife. You shouldn't be working for this life. So you only, it's like and I try to sell this to close people around me, closest friends and family and all that stuff. I always tell them, we're not here to, you don't live to eat, you eat to live, and so it's not about just just eat, and you're just living just to enjoy life and to enjoy the pleasures of life. You're just like on a journey. You take what you can just to get through the journey. So you get enough provisions with you, and you're traveling, but you shouldn't base yourself and start establishing yourself on the train. The train's moving, and now you start getting you start cooking and eating and enjoying, watching movies, and you just completely forget your destination and why you actually took that train and why you're on that journey. So you need to recalibrate and basically find out direction you're going in, which is the direction of the akhirah, the afterlife, and that is that should be your purpose. Okay, everything you do, say, Allah, make this, whatever I'm doing today, if I'm studying or I'm working, make this the intention of me working for your sake, fi sabilillah. I'm working and I'm studying fi sabilillah because I want to become educated person. I want to contribute to society. I want my dream. I want to set up a business, because ultimately it's not about just accumulating wealth, because you're not gonna take anything with you when you die. You're not gonna take your Bugatti or Ferrari or Aston Martin. All these things, people are not gonna bury an Aston Martin with you or a Bugatti with you when you die. Yeah, so it's not gonna. So this is just, it's just mere very trivial entertainment in life. And alhamdulillah, Allah took that out of my heart, this desire for the dunya, and He showed me individuals and communities, and I've seen people suffering. I've been to poorer countries, and I've seen people in worse condition than the worst condition I've been in at my lowest point in my life. So it made me aware, and it made me I have a greater responsibility on my shoulders and also at the same time, I would like you also to invite you to look at people that are less fortunate than you. Don't look at the people that are above you. Don't look at someone who's a multi-billionaire, okay, and compare your life to them. If you're less than a millionaire and you're earning, you don't earn a lot of money, don't look at the person above you. Look at yourself. Look at how you can improve your life, how you could be the best version of yourself. Not compare yourself to another individual, because we're all slightly different. Okay, we even have different genetics. When I was younger, I'll tell you a bit like my sort of like health activity or fitness activity. When I was younger, for example, I used to go to the gym quite a lot, okay, and I would pack on muscles really quickly. I had a very high testosterone level, so I would pack out a lot of muscles very quickly. I was very active, I was very hyper. I would go to the gym at least 4 times a week, minimum, sometimes more, and I did suffer from muscle fatigue when I was over working, and I used to go to swimming more or less every single day. The least amount in a week that I went swimming was 5 times a week. When I was a student at university, the swimming pool was for free, so I would just constantly just go swimming. I would go swimming in the sea as well, in the cold. I did boxing, karate, judo. I did various activities. I used to climb mountains in my younger years, and I was very active physically. In fact, people used to think that I am preparing for the Olympics or something, and that time, because I was constantly just focusing on my health. But the one thing that I did notice, that when I was bodybuilding, I would pack muscles a lot quicker than others. I wasn't on any sort of drugs or anything like that, but I would pack muscles a lot quicker. Unfortunately, when I did stop doing physical activity and not that regular activity, and I started eating unhealthy food, I started to lose muscles really quickly, strangely, and I started packing on fat. So my body fat increased substantially, very quickly, and it was very difficult for me to reduce it. So my health flipped the other way, from someone that can just pack muscles very quickly and I'll be very active, to someone that's completely tired, constantly tired, and just put on a lot of weight very quickly. So yeah, it's a bit of a thing like that. Other people, that I known from the days of the gyms and when I was in boxing and that kind of stuff, they were struggling to put on the muscle mass and gain muscle mass, and they didn't have much strength at the time. However, even though they left, they kept their form. Their form was quite the same. Even if they would eat more than me, they wouldn't put on the weight. So the metabolism was quite high. My metabolism, for some reason, it was slow, but when I was active, it was quite high, and I was packing on muscles. So it was kind of, so the point I'm trying to make is that we are all different. We're built different. Our genetics different. You might eat bread and be fine. Someone else might have a gluten problem, so it affects them differently. Someone might have a peanut allergy. Another person might eat peanuts and doesn't have no effect. Someone might have an allergy from apples. You might eat apples and it's perfectly fine for you. So because our genetics are different, you need to identify exactly how your body reacts to certain diets and so on like that. So we're all different, and we need to see how we can work with our what Allah's given us for our best things. So you shouldn't compare yourself with someone else. Not because like something worked for someone, then okay, I'm gonna follow exactly the same path, and yeah, it's not gonna be like that at all. You need to identify exactly what your passion is. I've met people in life, they don't know anything about restaurants, whatever, but they hear someone opening a restaurant and they're making money or something, or a takeaway, and they just say, oh, I want to go and open a restaurant, and they start to borrow money from the bank to open. And when I asked them, have you ever worked in a restaurant, have you opened a business before? No. They're just basically trying to copycat everyone else. They look at someone that buys a car, and they might have a car and it's perfectly good functioning car, and then someone else, another friend of theirs buys an expensive car, and then automatically they're trying to sell their car and they want to buy exactly the same brand of car. So they always comparing themselves to the circle of friends around them, and that's just a really sad reality of people at the moment. You shouldn't do that at all. You should always look at yourself and say, okay, Allah, what, like I told you, like, what is my purpose? What's my passion in life? How can I use this to serve you? And once you do that, you put a plan for your own life, and follow it, go through it, and always ask Allah to keep your intention for the purpose of for the service of Allah. You're doing it for sabilillah, so, and not for recognition, not for so you can boast about it. And that's another thing I noticed in my experience in life and so on. There are people out there that they learn a bit of Islam, they learn a little bit of maybe some knowledge in computer science or something like that, and then they become arrogant. They think they know it all. As someone that has studied a number of postgraduate degrees, of several masters, working on my PhD as well and everything, I can tell you, the more I learn, and I've constantly been doing courses for several years now. Every time I'm just doing courses in the evening or online doing modules and stuff like that. But the point I'm trying to say to you is, the more I learn, the more I realize I know nothing. In fact, I feel completely ignorant. No matter how many years of experience I've worked as a developer, or the amount of degrees I've done, or anything, it doesn't make me feel like I've still mastered the computer science or programming. I still feel that I have a huge gap, an ocean of knowledge that I still need to acquire to really understand things, because it's constantly evolving. Science is constantly evolving, it's constantly moving, and you need to constantly keep updated. And this is a thing about being a Muslim. The first thing that came was Iqra, read, study, recite, proclaim. This was the first sentence. Iqra, read was the first thing that came. That the angel Gabriel told Muhammad, peace and blessing upon him, to read, recite, proclaim. So education has a great value, it's great status in Islam. And Allah is constantly in the Quran. If you haven't read the Quran, and I advise you to get a copy of the Quran for free and read it for the first time and make a judgment with an open mind. Allah is always challenging humans and saying to them, look at the sky, look at the bird, who's holding up the bird, look at this mosquito. Gives examples of certain things. So you start to think, you start to reflect, you start to use your brain and question these things, because then that will lead you, that will guide you. Yeah, and Allah only guides those who seek guidance, not just anybody. Allah is able to guide anybody, of course, definitely, but there is a rule. It's like the law of the universe, It's like some laws are in place. If you study, you work hard, you will get your reward. If you don't, you don't expect to pass the exam. If you haven't studied, you haven't done anything, you haven't done your homework, don't expect to go into the exam and somehow, by miracle, pass the exam. Don't expect that at all. Unfortunately, there are people that have this fairy tale that they think if they don't do anything and they just go, Allah help me, make me pass, you'll get passed. No, you have to meet your luck halfway. You have to work, like tie your camel, and then you don't just leave your camel there and expect somehow that the camel's going to be waiting for you. don't be surprised if the camel runs away. So you tie your camel, and then in Arabic it's called akilha wa tawakkal. Reason, take precaution, and then say tawakkaltu Allah. I leave this matter for Allah, and then so on. Likewise, when you're crossing the road, you look left and right, make sure there's no car. You don't just run in front of the road and just say, I've spoken to so many ignorant Muslims about this, and some of them say, if Allah wants us to live, we'll live, and they just go through life like that. Don't even take any precautions. They just rush into life, and they trip and fall, and then they complain about, they're not lucky. They say, I'm unlucky, you're lucky, and I'm not lucky. It's nothing to do with luck. You just have to use your brain a little bit, take precautions, and then just move forward. Of course, sometimes something might be occupying your mind, and then you just I've been in situations where I almost got hit by a car, because my mind was busy. I was going through a lot of pain, a lot of issues, and I got distracted, and I almost got hit. But these things happen, but not intentionally. Not go through all your life like that, unaware of your surroundings. See, no one's perfect. We're all learning. We all make mistakes. I'm first person that makes a lot of mistakes. I've got tons. I've got maybe mistakes up to the sky. But I have this expectation from Allah that He will forgive me. He's able to. He's the most merciful, most forgiving, most gracious. So I have this expectation that Allah will forgive me for any wrongdoings or anything that I've done wrong in my life. So I have this hope in the mercy of Allah in that. And I also tell you the same. It doesn't matter what you've done in your life. Even if you committed murder, if you did whatever, you can always turn your life around and become a good person, and Allah will wipe out all your bad deeds, and give you that opportunity to begin again with a clean slate. In fact, He would replace all your bad deeds into good deeds. He will give you a positive balance in your good deeds. So it's a fantastic offer from the Creator of the heaven and the earth, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And like I said before, even if you're not a non-Muslim, when Allah created Adam, He gave him the system, the framework, which is called Islam, and by submitting to that Sharia, or the law that Allah has prescribed for us, we're called Muslims. So this was from the beginning of Adam, and every single prophet that came after Adam, including Moses and Jesus, peace and blessing be upon them, and also obviously Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as well. They were all calling people towards Islam, and their followers were Muslims. In the Bible, Jesus, peace and blessing be on him, says he's a Muslim. He prostrates himself, he does sajda, puts his head on the ground, just like the Muslims pray. And he said, I by my own will can do nothing. I by the will of God can heal the born blind and the leopard. I by the will of God can raise the dead. And he says, I bow down in the Garden of Gethsemane. This is in the Bible. And he puts his head on the ground and he says, I bow down in peace and total submission to you. Peace and total submission is, if you translate that word, means Muslim. I bow down as a Muslim. That's what he's saying in there. But obviously in the Bible they've translated the words. So they've even translated the word Muhammad. Although it says Hegab, I can't remember the verse in Hebrew, but anyway, it says Muhammad, Muhammadim, and then they translate it to altogether lovely. All the praiseworthy. These words that you see in the Bible, praiseworthy, altogether lovely, all that stuff. These are just translations of the name Muhammad. So they translate the word Muhammad into the meaning. So they get the name and they change the meanings. Likewise, when Jesus says Islam, Muslim, they translate these words. So you'll find the meaning of Islam, which is peace and submission. The one who submits his will to the Creator is called a Muslim. So they translate that peace and total submission. They have that as a verse in the Bible. That means Muslim. Okay. So that you see that in the Bible. You don't see the word Judaism. You don't see the word Christianity. There's nowhere of these words. There's not even the word Bible in the Bible. Yeah, so just very clear. Oh, you see Islam, but you don't see Christian. All this came later on in history. So yeah, I'd like you to just really, you know, question yourself. Just ask yourself, where do you want to be in the next 5 years, 10 years time? Have a big goal in life. Of course, we can all die at any time. I could die right now. But, you know, there's no guarantee, right? There's no guarantee or anything. But at least we have a plan for our life, and work towards it. And inshallah, Allah will reward us even if we don't achieve our goal. So even if you have a goal and you say, okay, my goal is to, inshallah, I'm gonna, you know, save up, and my ultimate goal is one day I'm gonna build a mosque, for example, yeah, in this city, or I want to, you know, invest in this particular project, you know, Sadaqah Jariyah, perpetual charity, which is gonna benefit orphans and help out the refugees and do this and this and that. You know, whatever your goal is, and you say, okay, this is my objective in my life. This is why I'm working. This is why I'm raising money for this particular cause. Inshallah, even if you don't achieve it, Allah will reward you as if you've achieved that goal. So He will give you the reward of it, because that was your intention. That was your particular journey. And there is a hadith. There is a story of a man, and I would share this with you as well. A man that killed 99 people. He's a murderer, perpetual. He was constantly just killing people. You know, he was a big criminal. He killed 99 people, and then he was asking. He found like a religious man, you know, and he went up to him, and he asked him, you know, I've done all these sins. I've done all these bad things. I've killed 99 people. You know, what should I do? You know, could God forgive me? And the man told him, no, you cannot. How could you killed 99 people and you've done all these crimes in your life? You know, you're such an evil person. God will never forgive you. You know, Allah will never forgive you. So then the murderer, that criminal, killed him also. So he made 100. He killed 100 people now. Then, but inside he's feeling something's wrong with me. I want to change. Inside him, he was sincere. He wants to change his lifestyle. He wants to become a better person. So eventually he met some knowledgeable, you know, like scholar in Islam. This was before Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. This is way before. So he asked him. He said to him, "Listen, this is what I've done, and I regret what I've done." And I went to this man and asked him, you know, can God forgive me? And he told me no. So then I also killed him. So now I've killed 100 people. Can God forgive me? I really do want to repent. So I said to him, of course He can forgive you. But what you need to do, you need to leave this city that you're in, because this city is just, there's a lot of sinful people, a lot of criminals, and the influence, the sphere of influence is influencing you to do bad. So you need to change. You need to go to another city where it's populated by righteous people. You need to surround yourself by a circle of friends that are good people. And of course, Allah can forgive you for your sins. Allah forgives all sins, even if your sins, you accumulated sins up to the heavens and the earth. Allah can just wipe it out just like that. And He made it so simple, and He told them the truth, because this Allah is the most merciful, most gracious, and He tells us in the Quran, do not give up on my mercy. Do not give up. It doesn't matter how sinful you are, don't give up on my mercy. So he decided to go on a journey, and to the other city where, you know, righteous people, good people live. And on his way he died. So the angels came, and they were not sure what to do. This guy is, you know, is a murderer and so on. And so these angels came to take his soul. And some angels, they didn't know what to do with him, because they said he's an evil person, we're going to take him to hell. The other angels said no, you know, his intention was to go. And then a third angel came, and he said, look, we should measure the distance between the two cities. And then if he's close to the good city, then you go to heaven. And if he's close to the evil city where he originated from, then the angels of hell will take him to hell. So then Allah ordered the earth to move. So the earth moved, and the distance between him and the good city where righteous people live was much closer than the city where he was originally living in. And although in reality he was close to the other city, but Allah ordered the earth to move and to move him closer to the good city so he can go to heaven. Allah wants to find any excuse to put any of us into heaven. He doesn't want people to go to hell, by the way. You know, Allah says that everybody will go to heaven except the ones who rebel. There are people there that are rebelling. They're rebelling against the mercy of Allah. Allah's made it such a beautiful solution, and He gave us such an easy path for us to go to heaven. And some of us, they decide to continue going in the wrong path, not trying to rectify themselves, not repenting for the sins and mistakes they've done in their life, and they continuously boast about their sins. They go out and they tell their friends and they boast, last night I went out clubbing and I did this and I done that, and guess what I done? And I met this girl. They're boasting about all the evil things that they've done, and they think this is good and is cool. It's not. This is just, you just basically exposed yourself. Instead of if you've done a mistake or you've done something wrong or haram, you should ask Allah for forgiveness. Say, Allah, help me to overcome this particular addiction or this particular sin. I'm constantly having this difficulty, like maybe have an addiction or like a drug or alcohol or whatever. You say, Allah, help me overcome this. I want to become a good person. Help me, and Allah will facilitate that. He might make you come across certain people that maybe were in the same situation as you, and they might guide you, or they give you advice, or they help you to overcome that particular difficulty. So you need to surround yourself with the right people. And not all of us are fortunate as well. I mean, some of us, you might be a revert, and your parents might not be Muslims, they might be non-Muslim, they might be against you. I know one brother who, embraced Islam, and his father kicked him out. His father beat him up, kicked him out on the street. He was homeless for a period of time, but this is the reality. Sometimes you have we all dealt a different deck of cards, basically, yeah. So you just have to go through your test. Of course, he will get a huge reward for this, the struggles that he's been through. And when I told certain people about this guy's story, they said, "Oh, he became a Muslim, and this is what happened to him. Oh, if I was him, I wouldn't have become a Muslim. I would have, And I'm saying, this guy's a Muslim, and he's saying that he wouldn't become a Muslim if he knew that his parents would reject him. Obviously, he has a weak iman. This guy that gave me that comment. But I can tell you that, say subhanallah, these people are just completely, weak Muslims. There is a lot of Muslims by name out there, unfortunately. But we need to help these people. We need to guide them. May Allah guide those people and teach them the true Islam and make them strong. There are people that have suffered far more than this brother that even got kicked out from his house, from his family home. There is the stories of Pharaoh, Bani Israel, when the Jews were persecuted in Egypt by Pharaoh, and they were enslaved in Egypt. And then when Moses came and tried to even give da'wah, give guidance to even Pharaoh. From the people that heard the message were the magicians, and the wife of Pharaoh. She heard the message of Islam from Moses, and also a hairdresser, who was basically a hairdresser for the daughter of Pharaoh. And when they heard the message, they all became Muslims. The magicians, they became Muslims. They submitted, and we said, we believe in the God of Moses, Allah. And then Pharaoh obviously punished them. He chopped he mutilated their bodies, hanged them on tree, crucified them, because they just said, we are Muslims. And he said, how dare you? Do you believe without me giving you permission? Do you have a God other than me? This is what Pharaoh said to these magicians, and he punished them. And he chopped their limbs off and crucified them on trees. And for his wife, he hanged her on the ceiling, and I don't want to describe the torture that she's been through until she died. And he was torturing her so she can denounce her faith in Islam, and she went through a lot of suffering, but yet she was firm. and likewise the servant of the daughter of Pharaoh, the hairdresser. When his daughter basically found out that she believes in, the message of Moses, and they were Egyptians, by the way, they weren't just Jews. These were Egyptians that also embraced Islam at the time of Musa. So she reported it to her father, and her father brought all this woman's children. I think she had 5 boys, and one of them was an infant, and he just threw each one of them in boiling oil and in front of her, and then he tried to take her infant son from her, and at that point she was hesitating, and Allah made a miracle, and he made that little baby speak, just like Jesus spoke in his cradle. This, a lot of Christians not aware of this. One of the miracles of Jesus, peace and blessings be on him, that he spoke in his cradle. Likewise, the other child that spoke in infancy was this servant, the hairdresser of the daughter of Pharaoh. And her baby spoke to her and said to her, "Be firm, mother, be patient, you're very near to paradise now. Don't be afraid." And when he spoke to her, then she believed. They took the child, they threw him in the oil, and then she said to Pharaoh, when you throw me, I don't care, I'll never renounce, and alhamdulillah, and I'm happy, but please put all our bones together, bury us in the same place. Obviously, even if he did scatter their bones, Allah will bring them back together in paradise. And then they threw her in the boiling oil as well, because she wouldn't denounce her faith in Allah. So we need to learn from this. So people have really suffered, not just being kicked out of their home or got beaten up. I mean, people were tortured to death. People was, they used to put the people that believed in Jesus, peace and blessings upon him, they used to put them in the ground and then get a big saw and just saw them from the head down like that. Imagine the kind of pain they've gone through, and they still wouldn't leave their faith. In the time of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace and blessings upon him, Bilal, he was from Abyssinia, Ethiopia, and he was enslaved. He was captured and he was sold as a slave as a child. And when he embraced Islam and refused to bow down to the idols, pagan worship, his master basically took him and started torturing him and put a massive rock on his stomach. Imagine extreme heat in Saudi Arabia, in that region, as well as whipping and torturing him. And all he was saying was Ahad, Ahad, the one, the one. No matter the amount of torture he'd gone through, and he'd been tortured almost to death, until he was saved by a group of Muslims, and they paid a huge ransom to acquire him from this master. And so he got tortured, but he never gave up the faith. And this is what we should learn. We should always be firm in our belief, and we should be strong in that sense, and we should never take on any other ideology other than Islam. And of course, it's an unfortunate reality that people pick and choose what they want from Islam. I mean, the way where the world is being ruled right now, even Muslim countries, there's no Islamic system anywhere in the world, and that's why lots of non-Muslims are kind of puzzled. They say, okay, if Islam is so good, show us one country that's has a successful system. Of course, they ignore UAE and so on, but even the UAE is not a perfect Islamic country. They have their faults. They're not implementing the full Islam. There's no country on this earth right now that's implementing the full Islam. There is no real Islamic country, and unfortunately, until now, there is none. Since the Khilafah was dissembled, and they destroyed completely the Islamic system. First, they tackled the economic system, completely corrupted the economic system, and then they started chopping off other stuff. But there's not it's not like the Western world or the atheists to blame, or the Satanists. We can't blame them. We should blame ourselves, because unfortunately, after Osman bin Affan and Ali ibn Abi Talib, these were the rightly guided Khulafa. After that, Muslims started going astray. The leaders, they started to become corrupt. mislead the community, and they started following their desires. So their purpose, they didn't have the right purpose in their life. They were Muslims by name, and they deviated away. And because they started going and having desire for the worldly things, accumulating wealth, women, and so on, and they forgot their true purpose in life, which is to serve Allah. Eventually they failed, and they brought the downfall of the Khilafah. So it's not the British that did it or this. And yeah, we can say that they played a role, but they succeeded because at that point, the state, Islamic Khilafah, was at such a weak state. And we can't blame the leaders of today. I mean, the condition of the people are so bad. And that includes me as well. I mean, we need to all improve. Speak to any Muslims that say, no, we should change this leader's corrupt, whatever. But look at themselves. They're also corrupt. That same person that's saying that, the president should change, or this is such a dictator, or this guy's a tyrant, or whatever, that same person is borrowing money from the bank. That same person is not living an Islamic life. That same person is ignorant in Islam. He does not know the difference between Islamic economics and non-Islamic economics, or fiat currency. You ask him about what fiat currency, he won't even know what fractional reserve requirements is or anything. It's completely ignorant. So it's not just about replacing a leader of a country or protesting, because this is completely wrong. This creates a lot of fitna. It creates nothing more than destruction of countries. So we should just pray for people. We should improve ourselves and ask ourselves, what can we do for others? How can we serve mankind? How can we serve our community? How can we serve our country? What can I contribute? Not what the country could do for me, or what the government's going to, because the government's not going to do anything for you, mate. Just completely forget that. Forget about favors from others. Forget about winning the lottery, and then your life is going to be happy, and you have so much money, you can enjoy life, whatever. In fact, I'll tell you a quick story as well. I did ask one man, he's struggling financially, and I just tried this little experiment with him, a Muslim. So I said to him, imagine if your job, obviously it's not going to happen, but let's say you're earning $2,000 a month. Imagine your manager comes around tomorrow and says, look, you know what, we're not going to give you $2,000 a month, we're going to give you $20,000 a month. What's the first thing that you're going to do? What are you going to do different in your life? And he said, the first thing I'll do, I'll go to the bank and I would ask them, how much money can I borrow, and then I can start, and then they'll tell me, okay, for 20 grand, I can borrow £1 million, whatever. Then I will go and look for a bigger house, swimming pool, so my kids can be happy and we can have a nice house. And he started telling me about he's going to borrow more money so he can buy a nice car. And so he wasn't telling me anything. Like, this guy, if I give him £1 million today, he would lose it before the end of the week, because he has no plan. He's not working for Allah. He's working for himself. He's working just to enjoy life. How he can enjoy life, instead of saying, okay, first thing I'll do is I'll take a percentage. This is the sane person now. I'm telling you what someone should do if when they're working, even if they were low income, because that's exactly what I did. I was doing the same. But 10-20% of their capital aside. Try to survive with a lot less capital. Just get used to it. Even if you have to walk to work, try to cut down expenses. There's always something. There's always wastage. So you can always cut out certain expenses out of it. If you don't try, you'll never know. So you have to keep looking at ways. Try to look after your pennies, because you look after your pennies, your pounds look after themselves. So just the same way. And then take the percentage and invest it. Invest it not just in companies. I'm not talking about property or anything like that. No, invest it in yourself, in your education. Start with that. Yeah, start to learn a particular skill. There's so much free education online now. You can go on YouTube and learn any kind of skill. Learn graphics design. Find out what your passion is, what you enjoy doing. You enjoy teaching. Maybe you can create a YouTube channel. Whatever. But invest that capital. Put it aside. Don't just leave it there in the bank. Put it aside and say, okay, what can I invest in to become more valuable? Because the market, there's a lot of jobs out there. There's a lot of opportunities out there. It's not actually difficult to make money, by the way. Then you just have to try to identify exactly how can I become more valuable to the market. Because if you're not valuable, if all you could do is clean, what do you expect? Clean rooms. Okay, you're gonna become a professional, you know, uh, cleaner. What's gonna happen? What can you do? So you need to look at other areas in your life, which something that you might be passionate about. Maybe passionate about programming. Maybe you have a creative side and you can learn some graphic design. Look at all the skills that you can accumulate or improve your skills so you become more valuable at your workplace, so you can maybe get a promotion, but also likewise more valuable that you can actually start up your own business. So this is what you should do. And just to give you an example, I mean, when I lost a massive fortune at one point, and I was at rock bottom, and because I had already had invested in my education for the past several years, like 10 years prior to that, I was constantly trying to learn new skills. I had something to hold on to. I had my qualifications. I had certain skills that I built up, experience in the marketplace. So I quickly was able to bounce back. I was quickly able to, get set up a business and start bringing in a revenue stream for the business very quickly. So yeah, not something that I really enjoy doing. I don't like, working for others or exchanging my time for money. It's not the best way to make money. However, it's the quickest way. If you've got a skill, if you're an accountant, you could just start. Okay, I know how to do accounts. Let me get some clients. Find out who needs to get their accounts done. Business people are very busy. Maybe I can offer them my services. Maybe a subscription base where I could just set up like, okay, each one pay me £100 and I will take care of all your bookkeeping and all that stuff, and I would manage all that stuff for you. And you could take 10 clients, 20 clients, whatever you can manage. So you can have a revenue stream coming in, and then you can look at another revenue stream that you can set up on the side so you can manage. So you can do a lot of things. It depends on what sort of skill or service you can provide. So the quickest thing is obviously the service, like you providing a service, and you get that, not investing in products and then trying to sell it. So you need to identify these things. Of course, once you start building up the capital, then you can start investing in other you get your money to work for you. So you can invest in companies, and like I said to you before, from mistakes that I've done when I was an investor, and I was a very successful investor, I invested in companies that have debts. I would highly recommend you avoid that, especially if you're a Muslim, because it's haram. And just invest in companies that don't have any debts, and you can find out because you've got all the financial information on the company. You can find out what they do, what activities they do, how much directors earn, and then take it from there. Invest in companies that are the directors, they have a stake in the business, so they are already invested their own capital. Their family or their friends have invested in the business, and also they're taking a very modest salary, and most of the money is being reinvested in the company. I do that exactly the same thing with my company. I reinvest the revenue back into the company, and I pay myself a very minimum salary, just very, very little salary. But I own the company, so the company might be worth a huge amount of money, but I pay myself a very minimum salary. Okay, how much do I need to live on? Okay, I need some little bit of money to cover accommodation, my living expenses, food, all that stuff. Okay, how much is that? So that's my budget. So okay, my company pays me that. Just pays me that very basic salary that will just I can survive. I don't need the extra money. Why do I need all that money? I can reinvest it back in the business, and the business can grow. Because a company is like a child. You obviously, if you have food and your child is hungry, you're going to give the child your food. You're not going to take the food and leave your kids starving. So this is likewise the same thing. So your company is like your child, and you should nourish that and make it grow, whatever. Because you never know. Tomorrow, you lose a contract, you lose a project, whatever. You need to have capital in the business to invest in something else, or set up, additional service, or try, do some research development. That also going to take time and money. So that's my recommendation. Okay. What I do have to offer, and that's why I want to make these vlogs as well, is that while I'm talking about Islam and telling you about the divine guidance and all that stuff and my experience with that, especially I started with a very young age. I want to also share some of my past experience, past failures, because it's through failures you can actually learn a lot. You're not going to learn anything, and that's the thing. People that are successful, or they've got 100 million, or 200 million, billion, whatever, and if they don't share with you what the mistakes they've done, and how much money they've lost when things weren't working out, you're not going to learn anything. They just they're boasting about how much money they've made. Look at me, I'm so successful. Ha ha. That's not going to benefit you. That is not going to teach you anything. So you need to learn from people that have failed, but have not given up. That's the difference. Someone that's failed and given up, they're useless. It is a quitter, right? But a successful person never quits. Failure is not an option. You fail, but you don't give up. So you keep going. Yeah. So it's just like that. So you need to learn from those people. So I would like to share some of the mistakes that I've done, and you need because these are the expensive lessons that I've paid for. So it's a free lesson for you. So you don't have to make the same mistake. Make a complete different mistake. That's fine. Yeah. Maybe find someone else that's made a different mistake than what I've made, and learn from their mistakes. So you get a free ticket, free trip, and save all that time and money. I unfortunately I never had that. I didn't have a mentor or someone that was guiding me or told me, oh, be careful, don't go here, don't turn left, turn right, or I didn't have any directions. I had to make every single mistake, under the sky, basically. Just every single mistake, the most stupidest mistakes that I when I look back, I say, man, how could I have made that such a stupid, idiotic mistake? That how could that have gone past me? Why did I invest in that company? Why did I invest, $500,000 or whatever in that company? And yeah, it was so obvious they didn't have a proper management structure. It was so obvious that the CEO was living a lifestyle, income, and exploiting the business and robbing the company and that kind of stuff, and diluting the shares. When they issue new shares and that kind of stuff, so it dilutes the shareholders. And so from you being like 20% stakeholder in the company, you suddenly find yourself 1% owner of the company, and the value of the company's gone down. So even you see your whole investment wiped out very quickly, and the director, he's all happy because he's been basically leeching off the money from the company and just basically robbing the company. So there's a lot of unethical CEOs out there, unethical directors that exploit, and the majority of the market is like that. Most of the companies on the AIM and on the stock market right now, they're like that. They've got really corrupt CEOs, and unfortunately the regulation isn't very strong. Although there is regulations, but by the time you take legal action and stuff, it's going to take you a hell of a long time to get your capital. There's a little bit of advices here and there which I will keep dropping in these vlogs that I'm doing. Hopefully you've enjoyed the discussion today, inshallah, and hope you've benefited, or at least I've highlighted some of the things to make you think a little bit on what is your purpose in life, and what you should be doing. And like I said, to summarize, just look at yourself, see how you can improve yourself, how you can become a better version of yourself. Just like I'm looking at myself right now, I'm saying, "Whoa, man! I've gained 40 kilos in the past 12 months. What happened? Where did I go wrong? That's a big failure for me. Gaining all that weight, not going to the gym regularly, not keeping up to my diet and my fitness plan. Where did I go wrong? So I have to learn from that mistake, and I have to try to transform myself. And inshallah, next time I would be more committed and more focused, and I wouldn't let the distractions of other aspects in life take that away from me. I have to make a commitment, just like you're praying. You pray 5 times a day. You can't let that schedule go. You have to keep maintaining. So you have to keep praying 5 times a day for the rest of your life. So it's not just for Ramadan or just for this. No, you have to maintain the 5 times prayer for all your life until you die, basically. So it's the same. So the same way, fitness and health is very important as well. So you need to put that as a priority, because if you're not healthy, it doesn't matter how rich you are, you're not going to be able to enjoy life, and you're not going to also be able to serve Allah. You're not going to be able to do your worship correctly. You're going to be tired all the time. You're going to suffer from all sorts of illnesses, and you're going to be unhealthy. So you need to look after your health, and that's a priority. And then the rest, look at other areas. Money is the easiest one to solve. If you don't have money, that's the easiest thing to achieve. In fact, getting healthy is more difficult. It's more painful. You need to go through a struggle, especially if you're overweight. It becomes more difficult the heavier you are, the unhealthy. So where you started from, if it's be more difficult than making money. So that shouldn't be your priority about money. You lose money, you lose nothing. But you lose your health, you lose everything. And that's the thing that I need to leave you with for now. What else can I tell you? I think that's it for now. I've kind of spoken for a long time. I hope, once again, I hope, inshallah, that you've benefited. And if I've said anything wrong, or you wish to correct me, I welcome constructive criticism. I am still a student. I'm always learning. I have a lot of experience, yes. I have studied a lot, yes. But at the same time, I still know very, very little compared to the big ocean of knowledge out there. And I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly a student. I'm always a student. Even if I was 99 years old, I'm still a student. And I'm still learning, and I can learn from anyone. If it's a child, teenager, 20-year-old, 30-year-old, 40-year-old, it doesn't matter what the age is, I can learn from anyone. Man or woman, doesn't matter. I can learn from everyone. And everyone has something, has some experience that I might not have gone through yet. I might learn from them as well. So feel free to give me any constructive criticism, or share some of your experience as well. And I encourage other people as well, not even just for money, not to make money on YouTube. I'm not monetizing the videos, but just share your experience in life. Start creating videos on YouTube or any platform, and just share some of your experience, some of your life journey that you've gone through, failures that you've had, challenges or any problems that you might have. And maybe if I watch your videos and I can tell you, hey, I've been through the same scenario. Maybe you're overweight and you find it difficult to lose weight. I can tell you the strategy how to lose weight, and I can show you exactly me now as I am right now, and you can see in the next 2-3 months how I'm gonna bring down the weight and inshallah achieve that target as well. So this is a good testimony for you that we can all start together, and we can encourage each other in that. So when I'm going to the gym, I can make a vlog and say, okay, I'm going to the gym and this is what I'm doing. I'm going to spend this much time, and that could also encourage you to get into a program yourself as well. Okay, maybe I'll make a video on that, and I'll talk to you about how I managed. At one point in my life, I was about 125 kilos, and I went down to 80 kilos in just a matter of 3-4 months, I think, at the time. And even last year, 12 months ago, I was about 85 kilos, and I went up to about 123 kilos. I'm quite heavy right now. Maybe I'm about 120 now, which is really bad. I didn't sleep I don't sleep well and that stuff. There was a lot of stress going on for the past 12 months. A lot of challenges in life, alhamdulillah. And so I kind of let go of certain aspects. But yeah, definitely I need to get back on track again, and inshallah this time I can stick to it. Okay, I spoke for quite a bit now, and I hope I've given you as much as I can, inshallah, and then maybe I'll make a video just specifically about health and fitness and that kind of stuff, and the program I'm going to be following, and what's worked for me in the past. So it might work for you, might not work for you, but at least it's definitely worked for me when dropping weight very quickly and getting back into shape. And it does involve a little bit of fasting. It involves a lot. I mean, I follow mainly the prophetic way, of when it's dieting. I follow what Allah's prescribed to us, how to like I told you, Islam It's got wealth of knowledge. It's got solutions to every single problem. There is absolutely nothing that is not already mentioned in the Quran. Allah's given us such a complete way of life. He has already addressed all the points, and you can easily extract everything that you know, the solution to any problem that you're going through right now from the Quran and from the sayings and the way of life of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his example. You can extract and you can solve any problem, absolutely any problem. So yeah, if you haven't read the Quran ever before, if you haven't learnt about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam before, you can start by first getting a free copy of the Quran. You can go to any mosque. Mosques are open for everybody. It's not exclusive for Muslims. Anyone can go to a mosque and just have a look around and ask someone to tell them more about Islam and that kind of stuff. People are very welcoming, very hospitable, especially if you go to a very big mosque, and they can give you a tour around. They can tell you exactly what they do, what the pillars of Islam are. They give you a free Quran. Just read it. You don't have to read the whole book, but just read as much as you can. Even open the book random and just read some verses and just think about it. Reflect over these verses. Can this be a man-made religion? Is this man-made words, or is this divine? You make that decision yourself. Because I've already gone through that myself. I've gone through the Torah, I've gone through the Gospel, I've gone through so many scriptures, and it led me to although I was born Muslim, but it led me with more conviction into Islam, because it was very clear from the very outset. You look at all the life, all the prophets, they all point towards Islam. You look at all the scriptures, it all points to Islam. They prophesize Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam very clearly, and they all speak the same message, which is to submit your will to the will of Allah, and to basically submit in Islam. Basically, that's all it is from the very beginning of creation. So for now, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and I hope to speak to you again soon. Salam.